Punching is one of my favorite ways to catch bass out of matted grass. Frog is nice, but sometimes it's fun to go in there and get down and dirty with a big stick and punch that weight through there. Kind of a rule of thumb, I personally try to go as light as I can on the weight. You want just enough weight to break through the vegetation without actually having to shake the weight. So just something that goes in and out really quickly. Usually start out with a 3/4. A lot of times it takes a 1 ounce. If you've got that real mossy stuff, it's going to take probably 1.5 ounces, maybe 2 ounces. The reason I like a little bit lighter weight if I can get away from it is it's less fatigue on your shoulders. There's a big difference flipping a 3/4 versus 1 1/4 ounce. You're talking multiple hours of fishing, multiple pitches, you know, hundreds of pitches. That little 1/2 ounce difference in weight can really wear on you over the course of a day. But you also have to use a heavy enough weight to get through regardless. It's just the way it works.
Okay, so they're on this outside grass. There you go. Grassy bassy.
I usually start out with a beaver style bait. Reaction Innovations, Sweet Beaver, a D-bomb. Actually, a beaver's a little bit better because it's a little bit smaller profile. It gets in and out of the grass a lot quicker. But something that doesn't have much action. A tube is another great bait for punching in and out of grass. One key I will tell you is bobber stops. I like to use 2 bobber stops. It keeps that weight pegged. You definitely want this thing pegged. I will actually allow a little bit of space between the bobber stops like that. Not much, but just enough to where this bait can actually swing independently. It doesn't really affect going in and out of the grass, but it gives that bait a little bit more movement. I like a 4/0 hook on any kind of beaver, like creature type bait. 3/0 hook if I'm doing something more finesse.
Fish. Punching fish. Nice. One of the first punching fish of the year. Just thought I'd come check this. Just never know. It's like a needle in a haystack. You gotta cover a bunch of water, get a bite, and every once in a while you catch one.
So let's talk about a couple other options for baits. Crawl is another great option. If they're not reacting to a beaver style bait, go with some kind of crawl. This is a Hawgz Custom Baits warthog in a tilapia color. But a rage crawl is another one. Something that has some kind of appendages. Sometimes the fish want a little bit more action to trigger. It's a reaction strike, guys. Sometimes they want that flapping stuff. Sometimes they just want a straight glide. So you kind of got to mix it up. But a rage crawl is another one that I've had good success with. Another thing that will work sometimes is a stick worm. This is a Husky Outdoors. They're HO Cinco. But any kind of stick bait, sometimes they want this profile. You know, that little kind of minnow type profile. So crawl, minnow, beaver, kind of 3 options. And then there's the downsizing of the baits. Sometimes I will put a 3/0 flipping hook on there and do, you know, I'll throw like the BB Cricket by Gambler is a good one. Another good crawl bait is the Burner Crawl by Gambler, by the way. Caught a lot of fish on that. But downsizing, a speed crawl or a little BB Cricket, just something a little bit more finesse profile. Gonna have to go with the 3/0 flipping hook on that. Same size weight, but I've seen days when they want that smaller profile. A lot of times it's a lot of pressure when people are really pounding the bank, getting in and out of that grass. They will take a smaller offering and pass up a bigger offering. As far as equipment, this is a 711 loose custom light rod. This has been, you want something with a little bit of tip. You don't want a pull cue. You've got braided line. You don't need a heavy rod like you used to years ago. So kind of a softer action. You want that parabolic action to keep the line tight. This is full contact. The way you lose fish is if you got too stiff a rod and you get slack in your line. When you hit those fish, just reel down and keep them coming. You want a little bit of a bend. That's gonna keep that rod pegged. It's gonna keep pressure on that line and keep that fish pegged. It's real important to not have too stiff of a rod. But anything from 7.6 to 7.11 is gonna work for you. You need a big rod to actually pull the fish out of the grass and then reel down and pull. So that longer rod really helps you move the fish. I like 50-pound braid. A lot of guys like 65. Some people like 80, but 50 to 65, whatever you feel more comfortable with, is going to be just fine. Moss green, the moss green kind of blends in with the grass. Don't worry about them seeing the braid. It does make a little bit of noise, so if you're in an environment that's getting a lot of pressure in the grass, maybe consider a 50-pound braid to a 20 or 25-pound fluoro leader. I would definitely tie the FG knot. Learn the FG knot if you're going to be doing the braid to fluoro connection. I've tried the Crazy Alberto and I've lost some fish. It's a high impact hook set. It really taxes that knot. So, I mean, I recommend learning the FG knot, which I don't know the FG knot, but I just flip straight braid. 6.4 to 7-to-1 gear ratio reel, something you can move some line, catch up with those fish, and get them out of the grass.
There we go. Got a few bass on this point. It's a better fish. All right. Decent fish. It's a little punching, man. Just a little punching, something different. And it seems like these fish are kind of on the outside of this grass. This is fun. Haven't did this in a while. Something I usually do in the fall. I don't usually do it this early in the year because there's such a good moving bait bite, but just thought I'd mix it up a little bit today. And so far, it's working out all right. Nice, healthy fish. The reason these fish are probably sitting out off this grass a little bit is because of this little bit of wind right here. You know, when you got some wind, the more aggressive fish are going to pull up to the outside grass line and feed. So that's what you can do. You can just kind of target this outside grass and pick off the more aggressive ones every once in a while. If you see something good that's back in there a little further, definitely want to flip in there. Like, see like this little hole right here. I always like hitting these little holes. A lot of times there's fish just sitting around those little holes. It doesn't hurt to sneak a pitch back in there every once in a while, because they will tuck back there in there slightly, just kind of work in and out. There he is. Got off. Dang it. Kind of low guy, but let's bite. I saw that fish come up and eat a dragonfly just a couple minutes ago. There was a little swirl right in that area. There he is. Yeah, they're definitely relating to the outside grass line. For shizzle. Slow down, buddy. There we go. Okay. Outside grass line. I've been flipping in this stuff, and I have only got a bite or two in it, but as I kind of start focusing on this outside stuff, it's definitely where the fish seem to be hanging out. I'm gonna poke down this bank a little more and see if I can catch a couple, and then I think I'm just gonna run around the lake and see if I can make this happen in some other places. I've got a ton of rods in here, and I've been doing a bunch of different stuff. I like to experiment. I mean, I know you can catch them on a worm right now, you can catch them on a swim jig, and probably a jig and shaky head, but for some reason, I'm stubborn and I like to try to catch them different ways. When you're punching grass, I mean, if you can, obviously you want to go into the wind, and then if you can go into the sun, you're better off, because if the sun's at your back, you're going to throw a shadow on the grass, and sometimes they can freak the fish out. But always want to go in the wind so you have controlled control with the trolling motor, moving into the grass and along the bank here. And then, sun, that's your face, which can make it hard to see sometimes, but I think it just, I don't know, you might get an extra bite or two by doing that. There he is. That a fish? Oh, I got off. God dang it. It's horsing him. I was horsing him. That was a decent fish. Shouldn't have boat flipped that sucker and quit playing around with him. There he is. I was lifting that up at the bottom and grabbed it. Come here. Come here. And that one's in the grass just a little bit. Fat fish. You know, your focus really, you're targeting bass that are feeding on bluegill. Most of the time it's punch and bite. These fish are in the grass, good green grass, and they're just eating bluegill. So that is a fat little sucker, man. He's been eating proper. Jeez. Look at a little pooch named Bob on that one. Good God. Nice fish. This is fun. This is fun. I just love getting up here down and dirty, catching some fish.
It's just about covering water. You know, you're going to cover a lot of water, and then all of a sudden you're going to find some fish in a little 20-yard stretch. Then you may cover 1,000 more yards of grass and not get bit. You're just going to find these little schools of fish just in certain areas of the grass, and it is about, you know, targeting specific spots, high percentage areas, maybe secondary points, places like that, channel swings, just places where the fish would be there if there was not grass over it. That's going to put you in the right areas, but even then, you're still going to have to cover some water. Bluegill and bait fish present in the grass is key. This is a real good technique in the post spawn. The fish will move up and bury up in the grass and kind of start feeding up. The bluegill will start spawning. So you're going to have a lot of groceries in the grass, and it's going to hold those fish up shallow. Fall is another key time. The fish start moving into the grass because the bait starts moving back into the grass in the fall time. So that is your two key periods for punching in the southeast Missouri, southern Illinois area. There is, you know, sporadically throughout the summer, you can still get that bite as the vegetation really starts getting thick, like in August, you know, kind of late summer. There will be some fish that stay in that grass all year long, that shallow grass, but you'll have to cover a lot more grass to find those versus the post spawn in the fall. In the post spawn in the fall, there's specific areas you can kind of target, high percentage areas. In the summer, they can be kind of mixed everywhere. Still, points are key. Points always hold fish, so that's a good starting spot. Channel swings, just high percentage areas, but summer seems like you have to cover a lot more water to find those punching fish. There's a lot of fish that are out. There are not as many fish up shallow, so it's a game of covering a lot of water. But it is fun. Just go out there and put it in your hand for multiple hours. This is a technique that's gonna, you kind of got to commit to it. You know, you're gonna spend 4 or 5 hours just punching grass, and you're gonna catch some fish.
So this grass is not matted. This is just, the boat's in about 5 foot of water. There's a little point right here, and just kind of flipping these little bitty clumps right here. And you're looking for the greenest grass. The greenest grass is always gonna hold the most bass. It's a matter of just covering a lot of water and figuring out where these suckers are at. They could be anywhere in this stuff, but typically you'll start seeing a pattern, and so far the pattern's just been kind of like out off the matted stuff and the more sparse stuff, like this right here. I'll run this a little bit longer. Check back there every once in a while, you just never know. Especially if it looks right. It kind of looks right there. There's two little clumps right there. Got this little outside edge right here. Right in there. Good spot for one to be chilling. That one picked it up. Got these little holes. Right there. It's always a good spot. Yep. There's one out too. Is it? The fish is all wrapped up. There we go. Called that. Called that. All right. These are fun. It's fun, man. Figured out, you know, there's so many patterns going on at any given time, and this is a pattern that I really haven't tried yet this year, and it's fun to kind of mix it up, jump in shallow, get a big rod, big weight, big heavy duty flipping hook, and catch some few bass in this grass. So give me a thumbs up if you appreciate this content. Drop in content on Wednesdays and Fridays, and we're doing a live stream on Monday nights at 7:30 Central. So check those out. It's a good time. You get to ask questions. Got all kinds of great guests on there. Thanks for all the support. Until next time.